Chair, last week the Minister stated on News Show that he is willing to force municipalities to accommodate asylum seekers. And the distribution law makes that very easy for him. And that coercion is concrete. We've already seen that in Loosdrecht. The KOA knocks on the door on April 13th. On April 14th, the decision was made, and just a few days later, 110 single men would be housed right in the middle of the village, without any consultation with the residents. And that's why people have been taking to the streets for 3 nights in a row to protest. And then, just briefly about the footage from these demonstrations, because there we see elderly people, young adults, and children who, with their hands raised, were still struck, hit on the head, and in some cases even left unconscious on the ground. Has the minister seen this footage? And does he think that the authorities should treat residents this way when they are protesting the distribution law for completely understandable reasons? In any case, it is clear that the distribution law has changed the rules of the game. People are powerless against a government that places asylum seekers in their village. Because, Chair, what exactly will this distribution law do? The capacity estimate is set at 88,000 places. That means that in the next year and a half, nearly 38,000 asylum seekers must be placed in municipalities. And that number will only increase because 1,000 asylum seekers are still arriving every week. And as long as that tap remains open, fairer distribution is just a band-aid on an arterial bleed. The distribution law does not solve the problems, it exports them. And Chair, let's talk about exactly what is being exported. Asylum seekers are 5 times more likely to be suspected of a crime than native Dutch people. In 2024, 11% of KOA residents were involved in aggression or violence, and the number of registered cases of physical violence has quadrupled since 2017, from 1,400 to 6,000 per year. And research by Dr. Jan van der Beek shows that Somalis are 20 times more likely to be suspected of a sexual offense than native Dutch people. Afghans 11 times, Iraqis 8 times. And this is what people in towns and cities have to deal with. And of course, this was not mentioned in the letter the minister sent to the mayor. And I asked the minister, why not? Because this is what the dispersal law spreads across hundreds of municipalities, from large to small, no exceptions whatsoever. Every municipality has been assigned a task. Hundreds of single men who are suddenly placed in communities with their own character, culture, and social cohesion. Places where people still know each other and where it is still authentically Dutch. And our cities are no longer authentically Dutch, because in Amsterdam in 2023, at least 60% of the residents had a migration background. In Rotterdam, 56%. In our own cities, native Dutch people are already in the minority. And now this cabinet wants to accelerate the process with the dispersal law to the last places that have been spared so far. And those people look at their village and say, here, I still recognize the Netherlands. But for how long? Because the dispersal law will change every municipality in the Netherlands for good. This cabinet calls that solidarity. Forum for Democracy calls it what it is. Making the Netherlands unrecognizable and unsafe against the will of its own people. Chairman, this law must be taken off the table today. The influx must stop, and the places in the Netherlands that are still recognizable must remain so, for us and for the generations after us.